Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, goodbye, Christopher Robin, and welcome to the madness that is the Charlie Marx Show. I'm Charlie Marx, and I think the burqa should be banned at the annual meeting of the Ghostbusters convention. Moving on swiftly, there is a lot of pressure on school-going kids, especially when there is rivalry between the haves and the have-nots. And this has been going on for many years. I'll give you an example of a time when I faced not only pressure, but had to face a wall. It was my primary 7 school disco. Now, to put things into context, I was not a stud, so I spent most discos watching the cool kids dancing with girls whilst I sat on the gym horse, or actually stood beside the gym horse, as it was terribly difficult to get a seat on the gym horse. Don't get me wrong, I inspired to be just like the cool kids in school, like Fitzy, Dale or Humphs, even if it was just to get a seat in the gym horse. But I was a funny kid. Nobody looked past the humour or the bowl cut deeply enough to know that I was desperate to dance with Natasha or Dawn or Fiona, or any female with a pulse. To be fair, the pulse was always optional. The pressure was always there, but more so when it came time for the school disco, and even more so the primary 7 school disco. You see, we start in primary 1 being the lowest and most vulnerable human in the school, and it takes many years to get to the top of the chain. We are then the top kids on the block, only to be put back to the lowest and most vulnerable ones when we move on to secondary school. My point is, we have only 1 year and perhaps only 2 or 3 discos to assert our 12-year-old manliness, or indeed womanliness. Although my friends Fitzy, Dale and Humphs were all so much better than me at getting on the dance floor with an actual girl, there was one guy who destroyed my entire final disco of primary 7. It all started when I pestered my mother for a brand new outfit for the final dance. Now, things are not like they are today, when kids in their final year of primary school are having a prom and being dropped off at school by a limo or a helicopter in dinner suits and ball gowns, but it was still a big issue to us. I saved up all the money from my paper round and begged my mother to add the final pennies to my ensemble, which would not only get me a dance, but maybe even a dance with a real girl. The week before the school disco, I was taken shopping and got a fabulous white pair of trousers and a white jacket. It looked amazing. It was fashionable once. It was baggy enough for me to roll the sleeves up to my elbows, and it was white, very white. I tried it on several times in my bedroom and imagined the dancers on the dance floor in a huddle, then splitting apart to make way for me to be standing there opposite the prettiest girl in school. We'd walk to each other and I would reach out my arm and perform a dance that would be talked about by the kids there at the disco to their grandchildren, or maybe even longer than 10 years. Yes, in my innocent mind I was going to be the king of the primary 7 disco, dancing with the queen of the primary 7 disco to Billie Jean or Karma Chameleon. And so the night before had arrived, and in the past months nobody talked about anything else but the disco and how amazing it was going to be, and suddenly here it was. I got dressed into my white suit a little earlier than I should on the Tuesday, and then I was told by my father to stop being so bloody stupid. The guys all decided to meet at the front of the school gates so we could enter the disco in a pack like wolves. It was safer that way. The decision had been made to go in, grab our spot at the back of the gym hall and get one of the wimpy kids to go get us a quenchy cup. The drinking had begun, but only for Dutch courage, and we stood drinking the cups, then squashing them like tough guys we were, whilst watching the girls dance. Then it happened. In he walked, the boy who would crush my dreams. Mark Emery slid into the gym hall wearing the Michael Jackson Thriller jacket. Everyone looked at the coolest guy in the world. The girls looked at him thinking he was amazing. The guys looked at him thinking that he was the boss. And I looked at him thinking, you git. The night was over before it had begun, and I started drowning my sorrows with quenchy cup after quenchy cup. Before you could say, and here's Red Red Wine by UB40, I had to pee badly. I sloped off to the bathroom, did my pee whilst thinking about becoming the first Jewish priest. Then on finishing I zipped up my fly. It was not common knowledge. Nobody had told us about this, and it was certainly never taught in school. But it was at that very second, standing in the boys' toilets, that I discovered that there is such a thing as after dribble. I glanced down at the increasingly growing wet patch on my very white trousers. Life was over for me. Well, the disco was anyway. And I spent the rest of the night facing the wall, with my white trousers pressed firmly up against the toilet radiator. And this was years before Wet Wet Wet. And you kids think life is tough today. Just think about that poor kid with the second hottest jacket but the hottest trousers. If you're enjoying the Charlie Marx Show, or even if you're not, then please like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and also follow the Charlie Marx Show. Also, please share, as sharing is daring. You can also leave me a comment or tell me what's bugging you in the world with the Devil's Advocate. I can also be spied upon by you visiting www.charliemarx.co.uk, or you can buy me a coffee. Coming up on tonight's show, we have all the usual psychotic behaviour, plus other stuff. But before all the insanity which is the Charlie Marx Show, it's time for more stories from the Old Bloke in the Home. Hello again, it's me, the Old Bloke in the Home. When I last spoke to you, I'd just taken my tablets and had to be restrained by the care staff for standing on the table doing a striptease. Anyway, on with my story. Kissing Rosie only to be slapped in the face made me question my way of speaking to girls, and perhaps not threatening them to smother them with a pillow was not a good idea. It seemed like only yesterday that I got that slap. Sorry. Oh, you're right. It was yesterday. Anywho. Or should I say anywhom. I'm not sure. But I'd heard that a woman likes a man in uniform. So I became a lollipop man. But seeing as there were not many cars on the road, I was fired for falling asleep in the job. I mean, what a fuss to make, as it was only 3 kids that got run over. Years passed and I bounced from job to job, eventually landing the position of rubber ball tester. I did have ideas that I wanted to do something, so towards the end of the 30s, I decided to join army. I loved being part of a group of chaps who could one day shoot someone. Well, as luck would have it, war broke out in 1939 and I was sent to the front line. I was moved to the back line as my company didn't think it was a good idea for me to wear my lucky glow-in-the-dark cowboy hat. Germany had invaded Poland and it was our job to send aid. I sent a hearing aid and a walking aid, but the Polish responded by sending a lovely letter explaining how I could procreate with myself. It was a hard life in the army, and not many people know this, but although Switzerland claimed to be neutral in the war, the Swiss general, Henry Guesson, sent us a package of Swiss army knives, which meant that we could, when we were confronted by those damned Nazis, and as long as they were patient, we could open up a knife and kill them with a very small pair of scissors. Sadly, the Swiss general used Timu, and the delivery never got to us until 1946. We had our hands full, and we had to go to France and up to Belgium, but I wasn't keen on foreign food, so I decided to stay in England. As the war moved on, the captain of my platoon, Captain Ernest Caveman, needed a soldier to do a special mission, and I volunteered, my friend Percy. Percy was sent on the mission, but was beaten to death in Dover by passport control. Captain Caveman then sent me on this special mission, and my war just about to begin. But I'll save that until next time. And we'll be back for more made-up war stories from the old codger who will say anything just to have company. But now it's time to check out all the latest fake news from around the world and beyond with CM News. Good evening and welcome to CM News with me, Hilary Clinton. Our top story this evening. A beautiful, curvaceous woman has made a police complaint after a man was caught watching her from a coffee shop window. My lawyer says I should get off with a small fine, as my defence of needing binoculars to read the clues on my crossword is sound. London Bridge is falling down. That was the claim of a fair lady earlier this week. She suggested that London Council should build it up with wooden clay. But a spokesperson for the council replied, saying that wooden clay would wash away. The fair lady then responded to the email from the council, suggesting that they build it up with silver and gold, which the council has agreed to. In other news, London Bridge has been stolen by a gang of illegal immigrants who have fenced it and bought immigration papers from London Council. A new Taken movie is in production and sees Liam Neeson's character returning to low-speaking role he does. This time, kidnappers steal Liam's DVD player, which has an unwatched copy of Taken in it. Billionaire Pratt Elon Musk has launched another rocket into space. Sadly, the ice lolly melted before leaving the atmosphere. Pop sensation ABBA have released a special new version of their classic Chick-a-Tika, which is aimed at their loyal fan base in India. Chicken Tikka will be released on Monday. A branded coffee shop has come under fire from angry customers for throwing a woman out after she was seen breastfeeding. The manager of the coffee shop stood by his staff decision, even though it has caused a backlash, stating that customers are not allowed to bring their own beverages in. The number of thefts has risen in British supermarkets. Chief of Police Sir Colin Clegg said he blamed the rise in thefts on the rising costs of foods, whereas long-time criminal Reginald Scallywag insists that the rise of thefts stem from shop owners putting their goods on the top shelf. And finally, long-time cameraman for CM News, Gerald Rabinowitz O'Neill, has died this morning. The 98-year-old technician started in the business as a tea-boy, eventually becoming the cameraman for CM News last week. He is survived by his grandfather. Our thoughts are with the Royal Bank of Scotland, with which he had a loan out. And that was the latest headlines. This is Hilary Clinton for CM News. Good night. Thank you, Hilary. More from the CM Newsroom next time. Now it's competition time. and today's prize is nothing short of a midget. You're not going to believe this, but another genuine portrait of the Mona Lisa by Len da Vinci has been found, and it could be yours in our spectacular competition. Here it is in all its glory, and one lucky Charlie Marx show viewer could be hanging this up on their wall. So, how can you get your hands on this spectacular prize? Well, all you have to do is answer the following question and leave the answer in the comments. The Renaissance period is known for some of the greatest artwork of our time. But can you spell Renaissance? Bit of a tricky one this week. Just pop your answers in the comments section below and you could be the proud owner of this fantastic original work of art. Good luck! But now it's time to walk like a cool cat down to the Nosy Parker Jazz Club to get another poem from the Beatnik Mind. Hey you cool cats! Welcome to the Nosy Parker Jazz Club. Tonight I have a couple of groovy poems for you. The first poem is titled, "The People in Power Are Destroying the Society of Man." Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. The cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such fun, and a dish ran away with a spoon. Now you may ask yourself, why has a cat got a fiddle? Can he play it, or is it just a farce? The cat used to play the flute. He blew Debussy's syrinx right out the comfort of his own zone. Did the cow really jump over the moon? Or is it an illusion at dusk? Some say it really didn't happen. And the journey was sponsored by Musk. The laughing dog rolled around on the floor. His tail, oh how it did flip. But did that smile was about to be wiped off his face as his owner was getting him the snip. A sordid affair by the dish and the spoon. Their partners felt like a dork. Some utensils have more deep remorse, while others don't give a fork. Stay cool, you cats. The next poem is titled, "Millennial Generation Have No Idea About Life and They're Lazy." Diddle diddle dumpling, my son John went to bed with these trousers on. One shoe off and one shoe on. Diddle diddle dumpling, my son John. Lazy dirty git. Be cool. And we'll be back down at the Nosy Parker Jazz Club next time with pretty much more of the same. You know, people often ask me, Charlie, which is the proper way to drink coffee? Obviously, there is no right or wrong answer to this great psychological conundrum. And yet, there is a most probable answer to the right way to drink coffee. I would say, put it in your mouth and let it flow down your throat. Now it's time for another roundup of moans and groans and things that go irk in the night with the Devil's Advocate. Why do all the things intended to speed up the mundane things in life slow you down? I suppose my main gripe is shopping. Now, unless I'm shopping for music, gifts for loved ones, or work equipment, I detest shopping. I hate food shopping, I hate clothes shopping, I just hate shopping. Over time, modern technology began to promise to make my hate for shopping a much quicker experience. Okay, I said to myself, I'm in. Anything to make this miserable experience better. At first it all seemed rather confusing, but as the days drifted by, I seemed to get the hang of it. And indeed it was much quicker. it was a quicker experience. But in the immortal words of the poet Axl Rose, nothing lasts forever in the cold November rain, even though it was April. There was the self-checkout area, which did away with the awkward encounters with the checkout staff. But the machine would not always recognise what was in your basket, and thus you need to wait for a service checkout person to finish her conversation with another checkout person in order for her or him to flash the little barcode at the sensor to get you on your way again. Getting slower. Okay, how about trying something really cool? You can download an app onto your phone for the supermarket you use and scan your shopping as you pick it up. Sounds very futuristic and should work well, unless of course you're being watched by very nosy shoppers who think you're just putting stuff in your bag. We got to the terminal and showed the phone to the screen, and the shopping appeared. Now all we would have to do is pay and go home. The machine asked if we wanted a receipt, and Fiona, being the eco queen, pressed no because she wanted to save the planet that day, and a receipt would do that. We went to exit the shop and was pulled over by the security guard as someone had told him we were shoplifting. Of course, thanks to the eco queen, we had no receipt, and so we were questioned about the shopping. I was so frustrated and ended up saying to him, what is the point of having these systems when all they're doing is causing more delays? It wasn't his fault per se. At least I think his name was per se. But I was so frustrated at the stupidity of the whole thing. So now when I'm dragged to the shops, I have a guilty look on my face when Fiona puts things into the bag, which I'm carrying. Thank you for watching the Charlie Marx Show, and remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, share and follow me on www.charliemarx.co.uk. You can also buy me coffee or join the channel for more and a little bit more. So until next time, if you're not subscribed to the Charlie Marx Show, you won't be in receipt of some good stuff.